What's going on, all you gamers? Today I'm going to be going over Marvel Midnight Suns and letting you know some of the most important things you should know about the game early on. If that sounds good to you, then stay tuned. Let's come up next. Welcome back everybody. Today we'll be jumping into a bit of the new Marvel game Midnight Suns, and I'll be throwing some tips your way that I really think you should know about early on in the game. Now jumping straight in, at number 10 we have the movement. Unless you actually have a designated character that can help you out with moving people around, for example magic, then you only get one move on your team once per turn. And that's for everyone, so you'll only be moving one character. You'll want to use this wisely and definitely set up your moves because of this. Make sure you're keeping tabs of when you're using your abilities and your skills, as you can use this to move around as well, and it will show you exactly where your character's going to end up. The green marker's the position they're going to finish in, or just by moving out of the way of attacks that are going to harm you. And of course, if you're in a bad position, obstacles that can be knocked into. Speaking of things you can be knocked into, coming up at number 9 we have the environment. The environment plays a massive part in the combat aspect of the game, from electrified boxes you can knock people into for a stun effect, all the way to explosives and of course just standard walls, allowing some extra damage when you knock the enemy into them. Or why not use an enemy and launch them into another one, in order to deal extra damage, two birds with one stone style. Remember, even out of card plays you can still use the environment as long as you've got enough heroic points in order to do so. However, on the flip side of this, obstacles can also be used against you, something that Venom taught me very early on in the game, as you can see here. Now another thing that we have to go over is going to be the cards. In this game, your abilities, they're broken up into attack, skills and heroic, and the cards are randomly put into your hand, generated from the pool you have from all three of your characters. The top number shows how many heroic points it's going to cost to cast a card, with the most of course being your heroic abilities, that can do some massive damage or have some really strong effects. However, you'll need to build your heroic points up by playing other cards like we said, and to generate these points in turn. So make sure you have a team and cards on hand that have a good amount of variation and can both generate and use up heroic points well. Now obviously a massive part of the game is going to be the battles. You'll need to battle in order to get further in the campaign, and also to gain a lot of resources like credits or coils, which you'll be able to use to gain abilities at the Forge. Remember, the main campaign will always have you using your custom character, the Hunter, but the optional missions will in general have another hero as the required one. From there you can add 2 more of your choice, allowing you to check out some really nice character combos and how they interact with each other. Now how well you do in these battles ranges from failing them all the way to 3 stars. Most of the time 3 stars are obtained by completely decimating the enemy and completing the objective in a very fast fashion. So to get 3 stars you're going to want to finish off the foes really fast, complete the objective and make sure you have no damned allies. 3 stars in turn reward you with a few more resources, but don't worry if you can't get them, especially at the start, as you'll still be completing those missions even if you get 1 star, and the game can in fact be quite tricky and difficult at the start before you're geared up. Now your team and cards can really make the difference in the game, so make sure you know what everyone can do and what they're all about. Your party composition can really change up how you play, and I would honestly say there are no truly bad heroes in this game, but there are some that tend to work well together. If you're really not sure where to start, then you'll want to jump over to your heroes, click over to their profile, and this tab will give you a brief overview of what they're all about, so you'll be able to see if they fit the role you're after. Usually ranging from a tank, DPS or support, or somewhere in between. Having at least one support, especially early on, can be really helpful, as some enemies can not only hit hard, but be hit very hard as well, so buffs and debuffs can really tend to shine. Also a great feature is the fact that your character, the Hunter, has a very good mixture of cards, so if it seems that you're leaning one way or the other with your team, then you can always fill the missing role with the Hunter instead. Seeing as a lot of the game will be revolving around your battles, it's a good idea to make yourself and your team stronger. One of the best ways to do this is by upgrading your cards. You'll need to see Blade in the training area, and you're going to need to have 2 of the same card. This is going to allow you to upgrade it, and the ability will be an ability plus, which in turn has an added effect. Some cards may just get extra damage, whereas others may get some kind of perks which make it really tend to shine as an upgrade. Remember, cards can come in common, rare, epic and legendary, so you may want to upgrade your best ones whenever possible to make the fights a little bit easier. Now there's a lot of upgrading and enhancing in this game, but one of the most important I would say is definitely going to be the Forge area. Here you'll open up a whole host of options as you make your way through the campaign, from unlocking cards, obtained from coils, all the way to crafting them from blueprints. Your resources are limited at the start however, so one thing I would highly recommend is finding the upgrades so that you can get additional cards every time you open a coil and being able to pick 2 of them rather than 1. Also a little bit later on you'll be able to create cards from blueprints. This, along with the one I mentioned before, can really help you to gain extra cards and upgrade them a lot faster. Everyone needs friends and superheroes are no different, so building up a bond with your teammates and all the heroes in the Abbey is a great idea. This can be done by talking to them, hanging out, answering the Superlink chats they send, and by training with them in the yard. Upgrading the friendship levels of heroes provides powerful enhancements and is well worth doing, although sometimes you may need to pick your options wisely, as it can decrease if they're not happy with your answers. Also, I find that if it's a choice between being rewarded with friendship or boosting the character's stats, like you'll see in the background here, I'd probably always go with a stats increase, as these are much harder to get hold of and there are quite a few ways to upgrade people's friendship in the game. Now going slightly hand in hand with this is going to be the interactions of light and dark of your character. Throughout the game you're often going to come across dialogue options that show answers as either light or dark. This will add points to your character depending on how you choose, and will change their alignment. Very similar in style to Mass Effect. When starting off the game it's probably best to have a clear picture of what you're going for, as if you manage to get this up very high it's going to reward you with certain things such as cards and unique collars later on. It will also change the dialogue when you're talking to people, and of course how the character performs in battle because of his extra perks and such. Remember though, how you treat people can affect their friendship, so it can be a double-edged blade. If you think the answer is too harsh or too happy for the tone of the conversation, from time to time it may prove wise to pick the middle option, go with the safe path and stick with the friendship route. This won't change your alignment and it won't knock off any friendship points, so can work out well from time to time. Now lastly, coming in at number 1, I would say, and it's going to sound a bit stupid, but don't rush this game. This game is in fact quite massive, with well over 70 hours in the mix and then the New Game Plus afterwards, if you'd like to play through again with a lot more power. It has a great mix of RPG elements, as well as some nice cutscene, great interactions and dialogue, some of the best voice acting I've heard in a long time, and the combat is top notch for anyone who likes turn-based combat. Honestly, there's just a lot going on in the game, whether you're exploring the Abbey or just going out and doing extra missions in order to power up. Take your time, enjoy the gameplay, definitely spend some time wandering around, grabbing up everything you can, and unlocking things as you go, as that's how you're going to get the most from the game. For me, this is probably the biggest surprise of the year. I actually wasn't sure how this would turn out, but I now think this is actually one of the best games I've played this year, and I'm very impressed with it. But yeah, let me know in the comments how are you getting on. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, take care. I'll see you on the next day.
Oh no, only one way I'd be a movie vampire.
Oh?
If I was there to kill all the other vampires.
I would watch that.
They could call it Stakeout.
Why not just Blade?
Yeah, I could take it or leave it.